Today I'm scrapping fire extinguishers. I have done hundreds of these at this point, of all different shapes and sizes, and they're all done more or less the same way. They're pretty easy. As long as they're empty, they're completely safe. Yeah, piece of cake. Okay, here it is. This is a carbon dioxide fire extinguisher. The body of this is cast aluminium, so worth more than your standard old rolled aluminium. You've got the brass fitting at the top there. This is iron. This can be different things, but this one is aluminium, it doesn't stick. That's iron, that's a brass pin. And if you look at the end there, that doesn't look a brass one. Some of the older ones, the nozzle's brass, but I don't think that is. So first order of business is to separate, well, first off is to check it's empty. Right, there's nothing coming out of it. Oh, these, I always put, some of these are iron, if they don't stick, then I put them in my brass bucket. So yeah, first order of business is to separate the top piece, then to separate the tube, and to take the iron bit off. Right, I've got the fire extinguisher on the vise. It's not clamped in, but it's just sort of rested so it stops it from rocking around. I've got a decent weight ball peen hammer, and yeah, it's just a bit of Sammy love, and we've got half a dozen of these to do, or 5 of these to do. Yeah, so this is the first part. That's true. Easy as that. Bit easier that one. So it's all loosened off. You can see, sort of broken the seal now. It's only got a rubber O-ring in there, so yeah, literally a case of unscrewing it. And then the body is free to go straight in the cast alley bin. Now I've heard people say about painted aluminium and stuff like that. I've never had an issue with that. When I've taken the scrap, all the cast alley, whether it's painted or not, all goes in together, and I've done a lot of these. Sometimes these tubes are aluminium, depending on the extinguisher. This is clearly a plastic one. But yeah, that can go straight in the cast alley. If you ever do home fireworks, these are brilliant for putting rockets in. Now, I don't do home fireworks as a rule, but because of the pandemic and my boy being a big fan of fireworks, we did a display at home on firework night and one at Christmas. And yeah, I used a couple of these to fire rockets from, because they've got enough weight to them, they're not going to fall over. They're quite handy. I'm just literally unscrewing this by hand. It's just got a thread on it. If it was an aluminium one, what I used to do to be quicker was that I would bend a right angle in the aluminium, and then you can just twizzle it round and round and round. And there, that's a nice chunk of brass. We've got to put it in a vise, undo this, and wash through that rivet pin type thing there, and cut this off. If you ever have a bunch of these to do, what I used to do, and my recommendation will be, is to strip them all down to their parts first. So iron bottles in the iron bin, cast alley in the cast alley bin, and then just stick all these in your bucket to do all together. Because then I used to just sit at the bench, pop this off, chop through that, undo this nut, and then cut through this tube to get the nut off, and it's done. You you get in a pattern of doing things. So if you've got 20 of these to do in one go, you get quicker and quicker at it rather than doing them here and there. So that would be my recommendation anyway. Right, stick the adjustable on it. It's not going to. It shouldn't be very hard anyway. Hey, that's nothing. There you go. It's a cake. Right, that tube comes off. You can see on there. There's a sort of brass sleeve there. That's got to come off. I should point to the camera. You'll be able to see it now. There we go. Right, I've got that nicely trapped in a vise. I've got it with the nozzle bit there and the sort of like the hanging loop or whatever it's there. So they're braced on either side of the vise so that it can't fall through. See if I can pop this off with the chisel. It should just come off, he says. It's going to make me look like a muppet now. It ain't going to come off. There we go. And yeah, I've just got to cut through this pin. It's a rivet pin, so there's the flat end there and the closed end there. So, my usual weapon of choice, old wood chisel, big hammer. Hopefully I should be able to get this. This chisel's a little bit too big if I'm honest, a bit too wide. But I'm too lazy to go across the other side of the garage to get the other one. There we go. Alright, that just needs prising off or bending if you can get enough on it. There you go. It's off. That's a nice bit of clean brass, and that is a brass pin that's going to take some waggling to get out, but it will come out. Right, these brass tips, I'm literally just going to get mole grips on there. Get a better grip than that, I reckon. That brass piece, the washers just fell over there, unscrew straight off. As for the rest of the tube, obviously that's clean alley. You're going to take that rubber off, you run a blade down there, it'll come straight off. This bit is a nuisance. If you want the whole tube, bit of hacksaw, bit of chiseling, grinder or whatever, and it's really sort of moulded in there, so getting that off was a right palaver. For the rest of them, I'm just going to run a hacksaw straight through the tube, and the little bit of alley that's left in there, that's just going to have to be lost, unless I feel particular. So it is where you get from an extinguisher your bottle, in this case cast aluminium, sometimes iron, sometimes just ordinary aluminium, like that one, it's got alley scraps in it. Your iron handle bits, aluminium tube, and your brassy bits. Not forgetting that fella, if you're going with brass as well. The more of them you do, the quicker you get, and especially when you've got a load of them lined up and you're not working in an absolute pigsty like I am, because I haven't tidied up. I'll get to it one day. We used to get so many of those fire extinguishers from Protec in Bognor that me and my brothers used to have fights with them. And one day, me and my youngest brother were spraying fire extinguishers. You know, they'd run out, grab another one off the truck, out in a residential street, and an old lady was coming along, so we stopped, and I sort of stood behind the truck, you know, to let her pass, because, you know, there's an old lady, don't be spraying a fire extinguisher near her. And my brother snuck around the back of the truck, right behind me, and shot me directly up the arse with a fire extinguisher. I felt like someone had shoved an ice lolly up there. I don't think I've ever recovered back there, really. Thanks, Charlie. Suspend the sentence.